What's up, everyone? It's Mark D'Amico back for another episode of View From The Rafters, and this episode is a legendary episode because we have the legend Paul Pierce on with us today. Before I get into that conversation, I want to remind all of you, please rate, subscribe, and review us. We appreciate everyone who's given us a listen and a watch. Every Tuesday, the audio episode is coming out on your favorite podcast platform, and every Wednesday, we got the videos dropping out on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Again, we appreciate you all. Getting into this conversation with Paul Pierce, there is a reason why we wanted to bring him on, and that's because he's got a ton of perspective to offer, not only on this year's team, he's been around them a lot, as we all know, but also on just what it's like to be in this franchise from the day one of your career and moving on through 15 seasons. I wanted to talk to him about being at practice with these guys this season, being at multiple games throughout the season and communicating and watching these guys in person. And then secondly, really just coming in on that day one after he was drafted in 1998. What was it like for him to learn what it's like to be a Celtic? What was that process? How did he pass that information on to the generations after him throughout his 15 years? And really what he jumped into is that he has a significant interest in carrying that stuff on right now with Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and the rest of these young players on the Celtics. You're going to want to hear this. He has a significant interest in keeping in touch with these guys consistently throughout the season, and he might even have plans of grabbing some dinner with them coming up soon when he comes to Boston. So without further ado, let's toss it in. Here's my conversation with the legend, number 34, Paul Pierce. All right, today, very special episode of View From The Rafters, behind the scenes with the Boston Celtics. Always special when we can get Paul Pierce, the captain, number 34, back on View From The Rafters. P, how you been, man?
I've been good. What's up, Mark? How you been?
Yeah, I've been good. I wasn't at the game last night. For everyone who's listening, this is the day after the Celtics demolished the good old Sacramento Kings out in Sacramento, and Paul was at the game. I wish I was out there, so I was able to catch you. But what'd you take out of that game, Paul?
It was a good game. I really felt like coming into this game, you know, they was in a 5-game road swing out west, and I thought it was important to show to urgency to get that game because they went 2-2 when they should have probably went 4-1 on this trip. So I thought it was important to really get a marquee win to end the road trip. You know, you want to get that last win. Everybody's tired, ready to come home. So that was a big win against a quality team. So I was excited to see them play well on both ends of the ball. So
you're at the game. Clutch win last night. They needed that before coming home. But I know I saw you before the game talking on NBC Sports Boston and to some other networks that you just thought that the team was kind of like caught up in the motion of the season. And you know how it is, man. It's a grind getting through 82, and you just want to get to the postseason.
Yeah.
What did you see last night? Like, do you think that switched, or do you think?
Yeah, it just looks like, it looks like sometimes they get bored with the process.
Yeah.
It's such a long season, and 82 games is so many games and so many trips. It just looks like they get bored sometimes. They know that they already know they're a really good team. So sometimes they come in and just feel like showing up is good enough. When you have to understand every night there's a target on your back, because everybody is viewing the C's as a favorite to get to the finals. So when you got that target on your back, you got to expect everybody's best. So when I was playing on really bad teams, and I was like, shoot, we played against San Antonio Lakers, we coming with our A game because we're like, hey, our season. This is we win this game. We feel like we won the championship, even though we're not going to the playoffs. And, the Rockets felt that way when they beat the C's the other night. That's their season. We beat the Celtics. They're going to put that on their highlight tape. So those expectations, when you play those lower-end teams, you got to be ready because the target's on your back.
No doubt about that. I love the fact, though, that you have been at so many games this season. You come to Boston a couple times. You're catching them on the road. I'm sure you caught them in L.A. Again, I wasn't out there, but caught them in Sacramento. Why do you love being around this team and watching them in person so much?
I'm just a fan of the organization. Although I love Jason and Marcus and the guys who've been there, Brown's been there. When this guy's is long gone, I'm still going to be going to the games. You know what I'm saying? And the good part about it, they have a really good team. And it's been so fun to watch them grow, since they were young and, carry on the legacy, carry on the brand. carry on what it means to be a Celtic and just to follow it and be there, because I feel like it's my right as a former Celtic to show up as the past Celtics did for me. And I tell Kevin this, like when I used to look up and see JoJo White and Robert Parrish and, obviously you had Tommy and Maxwell there every night. Bill Russell would come into town and watch games, whether it be at home or on the road. So I just feel like as a Celtic organization, as a family, when they say once a Celtic, always a Celtic, I feel like it's my right to be there for them.
Green runs deep, right? You got to love it. Dude. But no, you touched on something right there that I took out of, watching the Ticket and the Truth podcast and show when you guys, I'm at the Auerbach Center right now, but you guys were up top standing on the cardio bridge, looking at those banners, and you're leaning and just looking at KG and you're like, bro, like we got to get here as much as possible. Like we got to be those guys now. And that's really what I want to go deep on with you here today is about that kind of passing of the torch, the being around and influencing the next generation and all that stuff, which clearly, like, you take that to heart. There's no doubt about it. That's why you're at all these games.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But it's got to be a challenge for you being on the left coast instead of out here full time. So how are you trying to navigate that?
Well, obviously, I'm in retirement. I have kids and I have other obligations, but in my free time, I always make it a point to come to Boston or check out a game on the road. I'm not going to be there every night. And it's just like the Celtics of the past. They weren't there every night.
Yep.
They weren't there every night, but they were there more than enough to just kind of give us that boost. And then whenever they're in the house, even if I didn't even talk to them, just their presence being there and me looking over like, ooh, they go Koozie, they go have a, you know what I'm saying? That kind of gave me a boost. Like it gave me chills. Like, all right, I got to show up and show out. And I felt that energy from them guys when me and KG was there at practice.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if we there to talk to them and rub elbows or go to dinner, but just our mere presence, I feel like it gives them a certain type of energy, and we felt that.
I used to feel that. So it's one thing for everyone that they can see it on the cameras at the games, right? Like when Bill Russell used to come and sit on the baseline, like everyone's energy is going up. And everyone on the TV, they can see that. But what people don't see or didn't see back in the day, and this was right around when I started the year after you guys won the championship, is at the practice facility out in Waltham. Those guys are like, maybe not Bill Russell too often, but like Havlicek was there. Bill was there every now and then. You had Satch Sanders at practices all the time. Tommy Heinsohn. What is that like practicing every day when you've got like legend after legend sitting on the bench over on the side of the court?
It's just a constant reminder, as if you don't have enough when you walk in and you see the jerseys and the banners and you see the actual player there. It's just a constant reminder of the type of organization that you're playing for. These are legends walking the building. These are guys, when you walk in, you see their pictures of them celebrating with champagne, popping bottles with a championship, and then they're actually right there. So to be able to rub elbows and I remember times just with Satch, like, man, how was it, Satch, man? Y'all was popping them bottles. Y'all was winning. How was it back then, man? What kind of car did you drive? How did y'all dress? Stuff like that. It's just good to get close to them when you see the pictures and actually be there and really hear the stories. It's amazing because I'm a historian of the game, and I appreciate what the older generation gave to us, and so I always like to soak that up and really pick their brains and see how it was when they played and how they built it for a better NBA for when I got there. When they talk about, man, we took commercial flights, we slept 2 to a room. We had to if we didn't make the flight, they'll leave us. Now we charter flights because of them, what they've been able to build. And so just hearing them stories is amazing.
So rewind to the start of your career. It's 1998. Obviously, we got the lockout right when you come into the league. That was a challenge for you, I'm sure. But we all know you grew up a Lakers guy. You grew up in LA. How long did it take you to understand and integrate yourself into the culture here? Because, we can't lie, that's not going to happen overnight for anyone. You got to learn that history. You got to understand. You got to see those guys and have those conversations. So I'm just curious what that process was like for you as a young guy coming into the league.
Man, I'm not going to lie. I was on the outside looking at what Boston culture and what Boston tradition was all about, because I didn't really follow it that close as I did the Lakers.
Yeah.
But it hit right away. And when it hit, when I first got there and I had my first conversation, like, I was talking to Red Auerbach, like one of my first weeks there. I was like, whoa, hold on. This is the dude I see on the NBA highlights, smoking a cigar, celebrating 11, 12 championships. This is really him right here. Now I'm having a conversation.
Did you smoke a cigar with him?
No, I didn't smoke a cigar.
Come on, P.
I was sitting there. This is when I first met him.
Yep.
He was having this golf charity tournament, and this was like after the season or before the season, one or the other. But this is like I think maybe my second year, because we had a lockout. So maybe my second year, and it was just like, man, there you go. I'm just sitting there really talking to him, and he sat there, and I remember we sat on the couch, and I think we might have talked for a good 30 minutes. And I was like, man, he really paying attention. He really sees something in me. And it was just like from that point on, I was like, man, I got to appreciate this. I get to be around so many legends and looking up every day. It's just, it just caught on. I probably had to say my second, third year, I was head first dove in.
So it took a couple years for you to get to that point. Yeah,
definitely. A couple years of being around the legends and getting lost in the city through them rotaries. I had to, that took a while.
I do that every day.
It took a while for me to get used to that. But it was like after my second or third year, I was all in. And then after my first year, I spent the whole summer in Boston. And then the next year I spent another summer in there. So I was there just eating it all up, getting used to the city, getting out in the community. I already spent a lot of time at home my first couple years.
That was a conscious decision, or was that did the team ask you to do that?
The team asked me. I just wanted to be in the gym. That was the only place I can get the gym 24/7 and 360 every night. And so it was just like me and my best friend come out like, look, we'll go to the gym in the morning, but I had 24-hour access to the gym, and we'll go in the gym and late at night. It'd be times where I go in there, and Rick Pitino was in there, 10 o'clock, he'll see me in there, and, me and my boy working out.
That's awesome, man. Those are great memories. So we touched on having the legends around, but then there's also the element of you're coming onto a team early in your career when there's other guys who have already gone through it. They've already had those few seasons with the Celtics. They've already integrated themselves into the culture. So, and we're talking about guys like Kenny Anderson. Antoine had been here for a couple seasons when you came in. What's the process that you experienced as a young guy of them showing you what it means to be a Celtic?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely watching, and I'm asking questions. I'm just seeing everybody's habits. When you first get there, you take a look around and you see, you got these other 10, 12, 13 guys on the team, but you look and you're like, man, who best fits where I'm trying to go? Who habits am I trying to follow? On the court, off the court. And you look around and be like, all right, I'm going to get under this vet's wing because I like, what he's doing. I like what he's teaching me. He's really making sense, showing me the ropes. So, early on, it was like Twan, Dana Barros, was real close. E. Williams. So I took on 2 or 3 guys where, all right, man, Dana going to be here again. I'm going to get shots up with Dana, man. He can shoot, man. I'm going to get here early. I'm going to work on some posts with Twan. He like, man, you need to get here. And I always made an emphasis to work under them guys just to kind of see the routine and learn a routine. And once I figured out what my routine was going to be, and that took a few years, because these guys are established pros. Then you look at guys like Kenny Anderson who've been in the league, and you look at the guys who had that longevity too, like Dana and Kenny. Yeah, we had Twan, but he was still learning too as he was going because he was third year. And so I was looking at those guys who had a little bit more time in the league and just kind of see, they've been here for a little while, so I'm going to watch them a little more close and then figure it out.
What about from a culture perspective? Because I know, I've heard the guys on this team talk about it. I know back in the day, Avery Bradley comes in, those young guys are following your lead. But and I'm talking about on the court, in the weight room, all that stuff. But from a culture perspective, did those vets actually have conversations with you about that, or is that just something that you learn by watching and being in it and being in that environment?
Man, truthfully about the culture, I learned it from the legends. I was in there talking to Bill. I was in there talking to Cornbread. We playing. Them is the guys who created Celtic culture that's going to last forever. They created the foundation of what Celtic culture is. So no matter what players come and go, the culture going to be the same. And them is the guys that created it. It's a lot of times I'll come to the gym early and Tommy Heinsohn, and I'm talking to him about what's the culture all about here. What it mean to be a Celtic, how to lead. So a lot of that came from those guys.
What were your biggest takeaways from those convos?
Well, I had a lot of great conversations, believe it or not, from just Tommy Heinsohn.
I believe that, man.
No, listen, he would sit there and talk to me for a long time, and I didn't that much about Tommy, so I started looking him up, and I was like, man, Tommy was a beast.
Yep.
I've been looking like, hold on, he don't get enough recognition as a Celtic great. Like the things he was doing, he was just like telling me, continue to work hard. You got a lot of leadership. I see it in you. You could become a leader of this team one day. You just got to stay focused, keep working hard and things of that nature, because he saw it in me early, early, first, second year. And I took a lot of his words and what he used to tell me how I could be effective on the court. He was saying like, man, you need to use this. Like, you get in the mid-range. That's a good spot for you. I mean, it was just constant from Tommy, and it was just like, I soaked it all up. And I give a lot of credit to him because a lot of people, give a lot of credit to Tommy, but Tommy was in my ear a lot more than people think.
Something tells me he might have told you to play fast.
Oh, yeah. Like, man, how can I rack up some of them Tommy points? Like that? I was like, all right.
I think that's the advice that he passed on to everyone who came through that door, man, while he was here, which was forever. I mean, you want to talk about an absolute legend of this organization. He did it all, and he did it all at a high level, man. It's incredible what he accomplished.
Absolutely.
When you got into that phase of your career where you were that vet, like, and I keep going back to guys like Avery Bradley and Jared Solinger, kind of at that point, because you guys had already won a title at that point. These guys are coming in after, and they're trying to learn, what it means to be a Celtic and what it takes to get it done. You guys had gotten it done at that point. So what was your perspective of how you were going to pass all of this information and all of this culture and what it means to wear the green and white? Because it's a lot, man. But I'm just curious, like, how you navigated that of passing that on to the next group below you.
Well, how I navigated, to be honest, I would look at certain guys early on, and I'd be like, I'll look at their work ethic because, look, I was one of those guys that got to the gym, and me being like, say, a 10, 11-year vet at the time when we won, if I'm still coming here early and I'm doing what's necessary to be ready, I expect that from y'all. So I'm looking at the guys who are, let me see, if you in your first year, second, third year, and you ain't doing at least what the vets is doing, I'm not sure if this is meant for you or your longevity. So when the guys who did that, all right, I'm gonna take you under the wing. Okay, Rondo, come on this way. We gonna work with you. Come on, Avery, come on. But then there's guys who just was just happy to be there. You tell them, but you can't make nobody do or be something they not either. So you saw the guys who really wanted to learn, who really wanted to engulf themselves in Celtic culture and be consummate pros and want to be there in the NBA for a long time. And so it wasn't that it was my duty to go out and say, all right, all you young guys, come follow me. No. I'm gonna let you choose. And that's how I went about it.
This is a little off topic, but you brought up the work ethic. And I just remember from when I came in, I was never at the facility when you and KG and Ray were not out there like getting work in. I mean, it was either before practice, after practice, during practice, or all three. And so I just touch on the work ethic that you guys brought to the table, because I think a lot of people just think Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, obviously all Hall of Famers, they're going to get it done on the court, but I don't know if everyone understands the amount of time that you invested that late in your career. No one really knows how much time KG put in just to be able to take the floor toward the end of his career here in Boston. But yeah, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on, watching those other guys and working out with them for a few years here.
It made it easy for all of us later in our career. It's easy early in your career because you're trying to establish yourself. You have the mindset. You want to be great. But, it made it even easier later in our career as you got to year 10, 11, 12, for us to be in the gym early or late. We all started having kids. And so it was just like, oh, man, you know what? Let me get up at 6 a.m. You're going to be up anyway, 6 a.m. It's like, let me change this diaper and let me get to the gym. So that made it easy. It was like to be up and be at the gym as long as possible so we wouldn't have to change diapers. So, you see us at the gym 6.
That's a cheat code right there, Paul. That's parenting cheat code right there. I like it. That's big picture thinking.
Right. Oh, man.
But touching base on like going back to this year's team and you wanting to be around these guys, what is your relationship with these guys? Because I watched the full Showtime show with you and KG sitting down with Marcus and Jalen and Jason, and it just looks like you guys connect. And it seems like, I don't know, it just feels natural the way that you guys communicate, and like you guys understand, you and KG understand what you're passing on, and those guys understand what they're kind of taking in.
I think right there's a mutual respect. They have a mutual respect for the guys who were there before me and KG, and we respect what they're doing right now. And so I think that was the official, us sitting down with those, 3 guys who've been there the longest. That was like more of the official, us lending our hand out to them. It was official, even though, we've been coming to games and doing this, it was like officially right there. So it's like, oh man, look, if you ever need a shoulder to lean on or somebody to talk to, just know that we here. We're going to be here to support you. And there's times where I text Jalen, and I send a text out to JT. I don't do it all the time, but like sometimes I feel the need. Like, look, man, y'all got to pick it up. When they're going through some laws and I see certain things, but I don't try to overbear myself with them. So I'm planning on, going hanging out, going to dinner sometime. Even this year, planning some things with them where you can get them off the court and just sometimes it not be about basketball. It just could be about life. And that's where I want to get to with them because we understand what you go through, not only on the court, but off the court as well.
It sounds like you're not quite there yet, but where are you in those conversations of, because those are two different ends of the spectrum, right? Like you got basketball over here, you got life and, post-playing days career over here. Where are you with these guys kind of on that spectrum?
Like me and Jalen has recently talked about going to dinner when I come back out there. So I plan on coming out there for about a week coming up. And so we have made a plan to probably go grab a bite to eat. Mm-hmm. I just want to know it don't always have to be about basketball. So me and him text about that. So I think we'll have something coming up pretty soon.
What do you think is in store for these guys the rest of the season? We got, at this point, when we're recording this, we got 9 games left. By the time this comes out next week, it's going to be more like 7, I think at that point, 6 or 7. But what do you think these guys got in store for the rest of the regular season and going into this playoff run, trying to bring Banner 8 team home?
Well, I see them like, okay, look, and this is what we did. I was like, look, it's 10 games left. It's time for us to be at our best. Let's turn it up, guys. We know what it takes because we were there last year. And so I expect them to finish off the season on a good note. And they know this is the best part of the season right here coming up when the playoffs start. And this is the funnest time of the year. And they have a great understanding that they've been on some deep playoff runs. And so sometimes they can get bored with the process, but they understand the sense of urgency is right now. And I think I expect them to finish off the season strong and get in ready for the playoffs.
Hey, man, it's coming up right around the corner. I can't believe that the playoffs start in like 2 or 3 weeks. It's nuts. The season has flown by, but it's been mostly ups for the Celtics, maybe a couple of small dips, but overall the team has been outstanding on offense. The defense has been pretty good all season long, so I think we all think they got what it takes to go all the way. It's just a matter of does it all come together at the right time, because timing is key and luck is key, as we all know in a long playoff run. You know that. You've done it many times.
if they're healthy, and I've watched every team in this league. I've watched the Celtics, and the game against Sacramento, that was the Celtics, I believe, at their best. So I've seen the Celtics at their best. I think at their best, they're better than everybody at their best in the NBA.
Well, everyone heard it right there. From the truth, that is the truth. Paul Pierce, man, we appreciate you coming on again. And we can't wait for you to be back in Boston next week, and hopefully we get to catch up when you're in town.
Definitely, I'll be there.